Jackson TSC Manager, Kelby Wallace. Kelby, welcome back to the show.
Good afternoon, Bart. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
It's almost too hot for construction work.
We've had a really good construction weather in August and September. You know, normally you start to get a little wetter weather in September with the fall coming in, but as everybody probably knows, we're definitely in a little bit of a drought, but that does help our construction projects a little bit.
Yeah, it's a dream. Dry weather, warm temperatures. Are we ahead of schedule with any of these projects?
I'd say we've made up some time, but we were behind a little bit because we had a wetter spring and you kind of run into some of those underground stuff, but I think we're kind of back on track for wrapping up most of that stuff here in the next month or two.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look at some of the things going on in the Jackson area. I think we're going to start downtown where the Cooper Street Bridge. What a huge project. I had no idea it was going to be this involved.
Yeah, so this we're kind of getting to the major milestone. We're pouring that bridge deck that people will be driving. So you can see all the green there, that's the steel that we coat in epoxy. And then we have the big boom up in the air, that's what delivers the concrete onto that bridge deck. And the yellow is an automated machine that rolls and makes that bridge deck surface smooth. So first, you've got the green steel in the bottom of the picture, and then you see the guys making sure the concrete gets all the way to the bottom. And then you have the automated machine in the background. So it's a lot of work. This happened, I believe, just last week out here. You can see it's kind of dark there. We do it at nighttime, so it's cooler. And so that bridge deck doesn't cure as fast and you don't get those cracks. So you kind of do it when the humidity's lower and it's cool. And there, you know, is the next morning after we've poured that bridge deck. You can see on the left-hand side is the actual driving lanes, and on the right-hand side is the non-motorized. It'd be where your pedestrians and bicycles go.
Oh yeah, because right now you can't cross. In the old version of the bridge,
it wasn't a real sidewalk. So.
That's a lot of rebar. Is that typical?
Yes. Yep. All our bridge decks have, I think, 4 layers or 6 layers that crisscross to hold that concrete together. Because when we're done, we take the plywood off the bottom that was holding the concrete while it was liquid. We pull that off, and then that concrete's just there. So that steel holds that concrete together and lasts a lot longer.
And it looks like there's a lot of distance between the surface of the bridge deck and the road that will match that.
Don't match it. So we have to. The next couple weeks, we're going to be rebuilding that roadway that leads up to the bridge on both sides. We got a little bit of storm sewer, curb work. I was talking to our folks in the office today, and they said that things tracking to be about November, about Thanksgiving, we should be wrapped up and everything kind of should be open back up there.
All done. It'll be all done. I noticed there was concrete poured on Cooper south of the bridge.
Yeah, so we had some water main that we ran all the way down to Washington. So we poured back some of that concrete where we could, that we were kind of out of the way of the bridge work. And now that the bridge work and the bridge deck is starting to kind of wrap up, we'll be working on that roadway that actually kind of connects right into the bridge.
And you're going to do all that same thing over next year on the bridge that's on Glick?
Correct, over the Grand River, which is near Grand River Brewing Company. It's a little bit simpler of a project. This bridge actually put in new foundations all the way down into bedrock. Over at Lewis Glick, we're just going to put a new deck on, so we'll actually leave the bridge beams and then just pour a new deck. So it will be about, I don't want to say take half the time, but approximately. It's only going to take a little bit less, but we'll actually be doing half of that bridge at once, so that makes it take a little bit longer. We will be maintaining one direction of traffic over that on Louis Glick.
Yeah, it seems like probably a busier stretch of road.
A little bit more traffic.
All right, so one more year of downtown construction. But then, when it's all done, it'll be nice. Now, let's take a look at everyone's favorite area to travel, Airport Road.
Yeah, so we have to replace some beams in a bridge deck that were hit back in the late spring. And so this is I-94, kind of how we shut down the roadway safely. We put these barriers up to make sure, kind of a car doesn't careen through everything and go hit all of our workers and get hurt themselves. So this is kind of I-94 and some safety devices we set up. You can kind of see all the lighting that our contractor has set up. And
So you shut down 94 completely?
we shut down 94 because, as you'll see, where some of that concrete and stuff falls down onto the freeway here. So they bring out, there's 4 excavators there with hydraulic hammers on the end of them, and they're drilling the concrete and they knock it down. They protect I-94, and all that stuff falls down. You can see there where it's down on the I-94 westbound. You can also see in this picture those beams that are curved to the right. That's the damage that we're fixing, right?
Really?
Those beams were hit that hard. There was 7 bridge beams that got hit. Here you can see again at the top of the screen there where those beams bend and tilt back from the high load hit that happened in May. So
that guy, whatever he was, he kept going.
He made it all halfway through that bridge structure. I think he got stopped at about the middle of the bridge itself, because we didn't do any damage to the southbound lanes.
What was he driving?
It was a trailer that had an excavator on the back of it. So he had some kind of 1-ton bigger truck, but then it was a trailer, and it had an excavator on the back.
Oh man!
And that excavator was just too high. So that project is off to a start. Now we're at the point where we've got the old damaged beams removed. We have to take some final measurements and make the final modifications to the new beams to make sure they kind of fit in place. Kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. It's pretty complex. You got to get that down in there. So we're actually taking measurements right now, and then we provide that data to the fabricator. They kind of make the final welds and cuts to these beams, and then they paint them and coat them to make sure they're not going to rust, and then they'll bring them back out and go ahead and put them in place.
So when someone hits a bridge, they're responsible for paying for it.
So definitely, we collect damages from folks if they are found to be at fault damaging, whether it be bridge beams, guardrail, signs, traffic signals. If there's, especially if there's a ticket issued, or if there's just reckless driving, we get that information, and our Attorney General's office actually, works to collect the cost of those repairs from the motorist or whoever did that.
Yeah, as it should be.
Right,
Yeah.
right. There's a lot of stuff that gets damaged that taxpayers don't need to pay for if it's somebody who's driving recklessly or making bad decisions.
All right, we've got another project going on, Jefferson and 127.
Yeah, so that one's moving along a little bit better. That was more of a repair project. We just repaired that existing bridge to give it another 10 or 20 years of life. So we actually are doing some paving this week. We're looking at actually having that wrapped up by the end of the month here. Maybe it'll be an early Halloween present for
nice.
folks down in Columbia and Liberty Township. That'll be done.
Yes, I've used the detour quite a few times. It's a nice country road, but people would be glad to get. I miss stopping at Kelly Express at Jefferson.
Right. Absolutely. No, yeah. That has been open the whole time, but it's been a little bit harder to get to.
Yeah. We've had a lot of accidents lately. It's, unfortunately, we've had some loss of life, but it sounds like it's speed, it's distraction, they're not accidents, they're crashes.
Correct. That's kind of what we've been trying to change that name when people refers to it an accident. It's something maybe that wasn't preventable, whereas a crash typically is preventable, yeah. Especially with driver behavior. And like you said, we typically have seen stuff either on 994 or out on 127. Just yesterday, as you mentioned, there was another very, very bad crash that happened because somebody was speeding and couldn't stop in time, and they ended up swerving in the opposing direction of traffic and hitting another vehicle. So we had, tragic loss of life yesterday because somebody was speeding and not paying attention and not giving enough room to yield to the motorist in front of them. So very, very tragic.
Be careful out there. So once this is all wrapped up, then you guys take the winter off?
Yeah, so a lot of our construction staff does training over the winter. Our design staff kind of continues to do their design through the winter. The construction staff also we kind of work all winter long to review, to make sure we pay the contractor properly. We're not overpaying them, we're not underpaying them, so we go through and we recalculate all of our calculations. You could imagine we have to calculate all that steel that rebar you saw on that bridge. We pay them by the pound. So we have to make sure we're paying them for what they placed and not overpaying them, underpaying them. And we have to make sure all our paperwork's in place. So we need certification that that steel rebar meets a certain strength requirement. So we have to have documentation that is tied to all that. So there's a lot of cleanup, a lot of housekeeping work on the construction side that kind of happens over the winter, and training that goes to make sure that our staff is up on the latest and greatest testing requirements for materials and stuff. So kind of a busy winter, you know, but this winter we shouldn't have a lot of active construction going on, unlike we have in the past couple winters on 94. So that will be a nice break for motorists and for our staff.
Great. Well, thanks for all the updates, Kelby.
Oh, glad you'll have me.
Yes, glad to have Kelby Wallace with us as we get an MDOT update from the Jackson TSC manager.